The pounding on my door at 6 a.m. was loud enough to wake the dead. I groaned, half awake, and looked at the clock. Who in the world? Before I could finish, I heard a shrill voice from outside. "This is private property. You don't belong here." That voice was unmistakable. Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood. Every hoe has one, but she took it to a whole new level. I had just moved into my late father's old house, a quiet brick place at the end of Willow Creek Road. It wasn't much, but it was home. I was on medical leave from the police department, recovering from a bullet wound I'd taken while on duty. All I wanted was peace and a place to heal. But apparently, peace wasn't on the hoe's agenda. I opened the door to see Karen standing on my porch, arms crossed, her phone already in hand. She was wearing a bright pink jogging suit and an expression that screamed entitlement. "You can't just move into someone's house," she barked. "This property was abandoned for years. The hoe has plans for it." I sighed. "Karen, this house isn't abandoned. My father owned it. I inherited it after he passed. I have the deed." But Karen wasn't interested in facts. "We don't allow renters in this neighborhood," she said, tapping her phone screen. "If you don't leave, I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I replied calmly. "Tell them Officer Alex Carter said hello." She froze for a second, squinting like she hadn't heard me right. "What did you say?" "I'm a police officer," I said, pulling out my badge. "Currently on leave, but still active." Her face went pale for a split second before she smirked. "Oh, sure you are. Next, you'll tell me you're the mayor." Then she actually did it as she dialed 911. I stood there, stunned by the absurdity, as she screamed into the phone, "There's an armed man trespassing on private property. He's pretending to be a cop." That was the last straw. Within 10 minutes, 2 patrol cars pulled up. I recognized the first officer immediately and my partner, Rachel. The look on her face when she saw me standing on the porch was priceless. "Alex, what do you question?" Karen cut her off. "Arrest him, he's impersonating an officer." Rachel looked at me, then at Karen, and sighed. "Ma'am, I think you're mistaken. This is Officer Carter. He's been with the department for 10 years. Karen blinked, clearly not expecting that. "What?" "No, he's trespassing. This house is whole property." I handed Rachel the deed, already ready from my folder, signed and notarized. I said, "Karen here seems to think the hoe overrides legal ownership." Rachel handed the papers back and turned to Karen. "Ma'am, you need to stop making false reports. This is a waste of emergency services." But Karen wasn't done. "You can't just move in here. We have rules. Everyone has to submit landscaping plans, hoe dues, fence heights, mailbox colors." I'd heard enough. I stepped forward, my voice steady but firm. "Karen, the hoe doesn't own this house." "I do. And if you keep harassing me, I'll file for a restraining order." Her lips tightened into a thin line. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "You don't know who you're dealing with." She stormed off, and for a few days, things were quiet. I thought maybe she'd finally gotten the message. I was wrong. A week later, I came home to find an eviction notice taped to my door with the hoe's letterhead. I couldn't help but laugh. She had actually faked an eviction order. That's when I decided it was time to stop playing nice. I spent the next few days gathering evidence via security footage of her trespassing, her forged documents, and a copy of the recorded 911 call she made falsely accusing me of being armed. Every piece of it painted the same picture: harassment, forgery, and misuse of emergency services. Then one morning, I got a call from the department. "Alex," my captain said, "you ready to come back? We've got a situation that might interest you." I grinned. "Let me guess, a hoe fraud?" He chuckled. "You could say that." We rolled up to the hoe office 2 days later with a warrant. Karen was there, sitting smugly behind the desk like she was running a kingdom. Her smile faded the moment she saw me walk in wearing my uniform again. "You've got to be kidding me," she said. I held up the warrant. "Karen Phillips, you're under arrest for filing false police reports, trespassing, and forgery." The look on her face was priceless, somewhere between disbelief and rage. "You can arrest me. I'm the hoe president." I read her rights while Rachel cuffed her. "You have the right to remain silent. I recommend you use it." As she was escorted out, the neighbors peeked out of their doors, whispering. For months, They'd been afraid to speak up about her harassment. Now, seeing her in handcuffs, it was like the whole street could finally breathe again. Later that week, a few neighbors came by to thank me. One older couple even brought cookies. "She's been bullying us for years," they said. "We just didn't know how to stop her." I smiled. Sometimes the law takes a while to catch up, but it always does. In the weeks that followed, the HOA was dissolved after an audit uncovered all kinds of misuse of funds and illegal fees. The neighborhood finally started to feel like a community again. And as for me, I went back to my quiet mornings, tending to my father's old garden, drinking coffee on the porch he built with his own hands. For the first time in years, I felt at peace, because justice isn't about revenge. It's about balancing and making things right, not out of anger, but out of respect for what's fair. And that day, as the morning sun lit up the house my father left me, I realized something: a broken bar sometimes. The best way to deal with the Karen is to let the law do what it is best to serve and protect. And in my case, I was both the victim and the officer. And that badge never felt heavier or prouder than the day I used it to arrest her.